Hello and welcome to Estuary TV News with me, James Dunn. In the headlines today, a Grimsby building that was once the biggest of its kind in the world. Our guest talks about why it's so important. And Dan Kemp takes a look ahead at the weekend sport. But first, here's Richard Morris with the headlines.
Hello, in the headlines today, housing zones introduced by the government could slow down the building on greenfield areas, and a heritage event is taking place at Grimsby St Mary's Church on Heneage Road. An opposition councillor wants the council to introduce housing zones to protect greenbelt areas in the area. Housing zones are a government scheme aimed at developers to give incentives to develop brownfield sites and not greenfield sites. Conservative councillor Philip Jackson, who represents Humberston, Healing and the Wolds, wants more housing zones to be introduced.
We need to regenerate these brownfield sites in the town centre, and of course it would take the pressure off all the greenfield sites around the southern part of North East Lincolnshire, where we're currently getting a lot of planning applications. It would be much better if we could get these sites in the town centre redeveloped. The sustainable people can easily get into the town centre, get to jobs and shops, etc. We don't have a local plan at the moment, as the Conservatives have made very clear in recent weeks and months, and we're getting all these planning applications on the southern arc of North East Lincolnshire for greenfield site planning applications, and what we want to try and avoid doing is spoiling the character of these areas. We want to try and direct housing where it's more needed, which is on these brownfield sites.
North Lincolnshire Council is urging dog walkers to clean up after their dogs whilst out and about. To not clear up dog fowl in public is an offence. It is also a health risk, particularly to younger children. The council has raised the issue after an elderly woman fell and hurt her leg after trying to clean up dog mess at her home on Fieldside in the area. The council are asking people to report others who let their dogs foul in public through their website, where a special site has been set up.
I was really concerned about her. We kept in touch and I made sure she was all right. Neighbours were going to go around and friends of the family to make sure she was okay. But what I want to do is to send out a message across the whole of North Lincolnshire, and that is, if you've got an animal, please make sure that you're there, you're prepared, and it doesn't take much to buy a bag of these dog bags or whatever it is, or buy a pile of them and carry them around with you. Just pick up and clean up after you've done it. There's a health issue as well. There's also young children playing on pavements, in fields. Please just tidy up afterwards.
Grimsby Golf Club hosted a golf day to raise money for 2 local charities. 15 teams embarked on the course on Friday to take part in the 2nd annual event, which raised £1,500 last year. The aim of this year's competition was to raise £2,000 to £3,000 for YMCA Humber and get hooked on positive activities.
We've got a multitude of companies down here. We've got some from Provision, we've got construction companies, we've also got local organisations such as Open Door, we've got a couple of teams from the YMCA and we've got a couple of teams for GOPA. We're doing all this to help 2 local charities, the YMCA Humber, who deal with homeless people, temporary accommodation, try and get them back on track, dealing with drug abuse, drug users, sexual exploitation, absolutely anything you can possibly think of, and they get them back on track. Get Hooked on Positive Activities, the company I work for, we deal with young disadvantaged people. We engage them with a load of activities that we've got, such as archery, laser cage pigeon shooting, try and get them back into mainstream education, try and keep them from going off the tracks.
A heritage event, which was scheduled to take place last weekend, is instead happening tonight. St Mary's Church on Heneage Road in Grimsby has been focusing on the World War I theme. Admission is free, and any donations which are made will go towards repairs and general upkeep of the church, which is badly needed.
This year the theme is World War I, so we've been very, very happy to be part of the Lincolnshire heritage this year.
Well, we were invited to come and take part in the concert. Actually, it would have been last weekend, but we were already involved otherwise, so it was decided we'd come this weekend. It's a follow-on from 3 years ago when we did a Heritage Day presentation here. Not really a concert. We sang every 15-20 minutes a group of songs. Breaks in between, refreshments were served. It went down extremely well. A lot of people came in to hear it. So this was the follow-on idea to do a proper concert for the church.
That's all from me for now, and we'll be back with more news soon. If you have any news for us, then please don't hesitate to contact us on Grimsby 315561, or you can find us on social media. Bye for now.
Thank you, Richard. Now, next on tonight's show, once known as the biggest in the world, Grimsby Ice Factory helped the Humber become one of the world's leading shipping areas. Now it's derelict and we're in danger of losing it. But members of the Great Grimsby Ice Factory Trust have dedicated themselves to making sure that doesn't happen. I spoke to Chairman Vicky Hartung about their mission. Vicky, thank you very much for coming in today.
You're welcome.
You're the chair of the Great Grimsby Ice Factory Trust. Tell me a little bit about what it is that you guys aim to do.
Well, we aim to find a sustainable new use for the Grimsby Ice Factory, which is one of the most important buildings in Grimsby that we have left.
And tell us why it has been so important over the years, because I think there's probably a lot of people my generation and younger who wouldn't necessarily know.
No, I mean, it just sits there as a derelict building now, but actually if you think, it was built in 1901, and that was probably about 30 years after the railway came to Grimsby, which was the start of the industrialisation of the fishing industry here. And then after the Second World War, Grimsby was an absolute boom town, and the ice factory supported that. It was producing 11 or 1,200 tonnes of ice a day, which was going onto the trawlers and to the fish merchants, and allowing them to send the fish down to London and so on.
And I've seen signs that claim it was the biggest ice factory in the world at the time.
It was the biggest ice factory. Well,
right.
they certainly claimed it was the biggest ice factory in the world. And it could well be the biggest ice factory remaining in the world, and it could even be the only ice factory in the world that still has its machinery, and that's what makes it so important, not just to Grimsby, but nationally and internationally.
And it's interesting you bring that point up, actually, because we talk now, we live in an age of cold stores, huge cold stores with electronic equipment that keeps everything, ice cold if needs be. But back then, ice was an absolutely essential tool, wasn't it?
It was. People used to in medieval times, they used to collect ice from frozen ponds and save it in ice houses, and so it was a custom. It was a way of preserving food, and then when the railway came to Grimsby, for instance, they needed a lot of ice, and that actually merchants were importing ice, natural ice, from Norway.
Hard to imagine.
It is hard to imagine, and the scale of that operation. But even that wasn't enough, and I assume there was quite a lot of ice in Norway. That wasn't enough, and that pushed people to develop refrigeration technology, and the Grimsby Ice Factory still has its 1933 gigantic ammonia compressors, and it's possible to go through the ice factory and see exactly how ice was made, step by step. And it's amazing technology, and people built on that, scientists built on that, and now we have a situation where green beans from Kenya, everything's fresh, we go to the market and buy flowers, and it's all because refrigeration technology has developed, and
it's
is
interesting
ubiquitous.
that you mentioned this is fascinating, for anyone in Grimsby. It's clearly a very interesting story, an interesting industry, but also it's not just Grimsby, is it? Because the Grimsby Ice Factory, which, as we said, is a little bit out of shape at the moment, is actually supported by the World Monuments Fund?
Yes. The Ice Factory was chosen to be one of 67 sites worldwide.
In the world?
In the world this year, on their watch list, that is, in danger of being lost, essentially. And, we sit there alongside the Battersea Power Station, which everybody's heard of, Venice. We know Venice is at risk.
You're up with some pretty prestigious names there.
Yeah, absolutely, we are. And it's good to know that this building that was so important to Grimsby is actually still a very important heritage asset to the town.
Yeah, and we've mentioned, you know, we've heard some great things about this place, which I'm sure lots of people never even knew. But you're actually holding an event this weekend, aren't you, that could help introduce people to perhaps this side of things that they're not aware of?
Yeah, we are. At the Freeman Street Market, it's not possible to hold an event at the ice factory. It's too dangerous, and you know, it's on the docks and everything. But we're going to be holding an event in the conference rooms at the Freeman Street Market, and there will be a couple of slide lectures about the history of the ice factory by Chris Lester, an historian, and there'll be information about some of the other World Monuments Fund sites around the world. There'll be information about the World Monuments Fund, where the Grimsby Ice Factory fits in that context, and there'll be activities for children.
I heard there's even a treasure hunt.
Well, yes, not much of a treasure at the end of it, but we thought it would be interesting for children to understand, going round the market, that the produce that probably their parents customarily buy, actually a lot of it has come from a very, very long way away. I was at the market yesterday and making a list of things, including garlic,
yeah,
from China. I mean,
it's the kind of thing that we
amazing,
have
isn't it?
It is amazing, and I'm sorry, I'm going to have to cut you off there, Vicky,
Okay.
but thank you very much for coming in. It's been very
welcome.
interesting.
Thank you.
And that event is on Saturday at Freeman Street Market, and we'll keep you updated on any developments with the ice factory. Now, next on the show, we've got Dan Kemp with a look ahead at the weekend sport. What have we got this weekend, Dan?
Well, we've got another full weekend of football fixtures to look forward to. In the Premier League, Hull City travel to Newcastle United, whose manager Alan Pardew's position appears to be under threat. On-loan attacker Hatem Ben Arfa isn't available for Hull, though, under the terms of his loan agreement from tomorrow's opposition. Scunthorpe United host Leyton Orient at Glanford Park in League One, and Grimsby Town travel to Kidderminster Harriers in the Conference. North Ferriby United host Barrow, who sit second in the Conference North. The Villagers currently sit 7th in the table and are 5 points behind their visitors. We have a few results to bring you from the midweek too. Scunthorpe United picked up a big 3 points at home to Coventry City. Paddy Madden and Lyle Taylor scored the goals in the Irons' 2-1 win. Grimsby Town drew against FC Halifax at the Shea Stadium. The home side took the lead on 4 minutes through a controversially awarded Paul Marshall free kick, which nestled in the bottom left corner of James McKeown's goal. After some neat footwork on the edge of the area, Scott Nielsen equalised in the 15th minute, beating the Halifax goalkeeper from a tight angle to make it 1-1, and that's how it finished, leaving the Mariners 13th in the division. Still on football, the draw for the next qualifying round of the FA Cup has been done, and there's a local derby for our area to look forward to. Cleethorpes Town will host North Ferriby United on Saturday the 27th of this month in the second qualifying round.
We got them replaced through a lot of media, to be fair. Dave Manor, he went on, one of the committee members, he went on the TV and radio, the national radio. Everybody wanted to hear about it, and fortunately a local businessman, Mike Parker, came along and offered to purchase a new set for us, which is absolutely fantastic.
We'll bring you more on that clash next week. And that's all for now. Please make sure you let us know about the sport going on in your area by getting in touch via the usual channels. Back to you.
Thank you, Dan. Are you going to be going to any of those this weekend?
Of course, I'll be going to Hull City at St James's Park. It should be a really good game, and I think City will keep up the good record.
Good ground?
Very good ground. We'll be sat up in the gods, so it'll be interesting to see how much of the game we can actually see.
Well, I hope you do see a lot of it. I'm afraid that's all we've got time for today, but don't forget that you can get in touch by calling us in the newsroom, on 01472 315 553, contacting Estuary TV via Facebook or Twitter, or you can email us on news@estuary.tv. Bye for now.